Directed by Robert Rossen, All the King's Men was released in 1949 and picked up the Academy Award for Best Picture in 1950. It follows the story of this politician out in the sticks, a self-proclaimed hick, but a seemingly good man, a man of principle, a man who is trying to stand up for the right things, to look out for the little people. But he's constantly being pushed back by those with power to try and stop him from entering the political race. It's only when those people who are fighting against him decide to use him, decide to kind of prop him up as a bit of a patsy, a political patsy. He catches wind of this, and it kind of does an about turn in him that makes him fight for what he believes in initially. And he becomes highly successful at it. And then essentially the rest of the film is the journey of this man, or the descent really of this man, as everything that he stood for, everything that he believed in is corrupted by the needs of the political system. Little compromises become bigger compromises, and before you know it, you're 20 years down the line and you're a corrupt politician who has lost your soul. And that's essentially what the film is about. It doesn't end positively. It's a very famous story. I don't think I'm spoiling anything by saying that. Most people who've done even the slightest little bit of reading on this film know that it is the story of how power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Now that man is played by Broderick Crawford, who puts in a really great performance here. So very believable at the start as this hick, this family man. Loves his wife, loves his kid, loves his community. He's just trying to do the right thing, and that kind of what starts off as a slow change and then really speeds up into a very quick descent into moral decay is very believable, thanks to that performance. Another really strong performance is by this actress called Mercedes McCambridge, who I don't think I've seen in anything else before. But yeah, she plays this character called Sadie, who is basically the secretary to this politician. She plays her character as a really strong character, with weaknesses, mind. Not like your modern day kind of girl bosses, but someone who doesn't take any crap, who has a very strong voice, who can be in a room full of men and give as good as she gets, but has failings. She's career driven. She wants power as much as the next person. She has an attraction for her boss, which is never going to be kind of rewarded. Essentially, she knows he's married, so right off the bat, it's a no-go. She also knows that he plays around on his wife, and so it's clearly not a relationship that stands any kind of chance in hell of working out. So she has all these faults, she has all these failings. She in many ways is what you would call a villain, but she's not villainous. She's a human. You can see how this is a woman who has been corrupted by the system like anyone else who gets in the system, and has gotten to a point where she's started to look out for herself. And I think she plays that in such a believable, nuanced way. There's other performances in here by the likes of, say, like Joanne Drew, who's like one of the other female leads. She's like this love interest, and she gives what I would call a more traditional performance. There's nothing about it to me that feels quite as nuanced as what McCambridge is doing with her role. That could be the role itself. As an actor, you get given your lines and you have to do something with them. Maybe there's more meat on the bones of this character Sadie for McCambridge to chew on. But either way, she gives a really kind of natural performance in that role. And for me personally, she's actually the standout. While I think Broderick Crawford is great in this kind of lead role, I guess the lead, not essentially. I mean, he's not the main protagonist, but he's certainly one of the two leads. He gives a great performance, but he gets a lot of these like big moments to kind of shout and really put it all out there that grabs your attention, whereas what McCambridge is given has to be on a much more subtle level. Now, I saw the remake to this film by Steven Zaillian, the one with Sean Penn in it, way before I saw this one. So this is the first time I'd seen this version of the film. But yeah, a few years ago I watched the Sean Penn one, and I wasn't overly keen. It was a bit like, okay, whatever. It just felt like a bog standard kind of political thriller that maybe I've seen many times before. And coming off the back of like being a huge West Wing fan and watching a lot of kind of political dramas of that ilk, yeah, it didn't really add anything to the conversation that I felt like hadn't already been addressed in much better ways. So coming back and watching this and again viewing it within the context of 1949, the year in which it was made, there's so much in this that feels relevant now that like I feel like you could make this script exactly as it is, maybe just a couple of slight tweaks, and it would just be, yeah, it would fit in to the modern world quite seamlessly. Recently I watched A Man for All Seasons, which is about this man who has all this moral fibre and he's within the political system already and he refuses to be corrupted. And this film is kind of like the antithesis to that. It's the opposite. It's about a moral man, a man of moral fibre outside of the political system, but once he gets in, he is corrupted. And I think the two films do make for a rather good double bill. You know, if you watch the two of them back to back, they do make for a rather good double bill, showing the different sides of the political system and particularly how to navigate it, how to hold on to your principles and the dangers of that, because there's dangers in both. When you don't hold on to your principles, it will lead to destruction. But as we saw in A Man for All Seasons, holding on to your principles can also lead to your destruction. So the only real question is, how would you like to go out as a man of principle or not? Because either way, you're getting destroyed. And I think that's a valuable lesson to learn from watching those two movies. You know, I think if you watch those two movies side by side, and you think that, you know, going into any kind of politics or just even with any environment you work in, whatever, when you're being asked to compromise on your principles, just ask yourself, is the damage done by not compromising going to be any worse than what it would if I do compromise? And I think if you're honest with yourself, you'll see that there's only one course of action, and that is to stick to your principles. Really great film, like I say, really great film. Depressing, you know, it's a bit of a ringing indictment of humanity. It doesn't kind of paint the best qualities of humanity, but it is a film that is necessary, I think, as a reminder of what it is to compromise. What that means, what it does to you, what it does to your soul. So yeah, really great film, great drama, great dialogue. If you've not seen it, give it a watch. If you have seen it, I'd like to know what you thought about it. So please do leave your comments on All the King's Men down in the comment section below. If you have seen the remake with Sean Penn, also let me know what you think of that and how you think it compares to the original. Thank you for watching this review, and until next time, cracking.